Hey, Catalyst crew. Welcome to Catalyst Corner, episode 70. It's Thursday, so we've got Jim F0123 Art on with us, and yeah, let's get into it. How you doing, Jim?
I am sweating my ass off. How are you doing?
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm a sweaty mess. So last night, I'm getting ready to jump into the arms of Morpheus.
Oh, okay.
And I thought Superman landed in my front yard. Oh,
nice.
It was a crash of epic proportions. And I'm thinking, okay, so either Homelander or Superman or something has landed. And, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Someone crashed.
Yeah.
Or, what could it be?
One of the alien spaceships has finally come for you.
Right, like I got one,
Yeah.
Like that's my lottery ticket. The tree in the front of my house,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Came down, broke my
Crazy.
fence.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a mess.
brutal. The city called me a year ago, and
Yeah.
they were like, "Hey, we want to take this down."
they'll
And
get
I go,
around to it.
"Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Just feel free."
Right. Yeah. You know how that works.
Yeah, they put in, put in.
Whoops.
Yep. So I got the chainsaw coming tomorrow. I'm gonna cut it up.
Nice.
I told my father about it.
Yeah.
Right. And he goes, "Well, it's the city's responsibility." And I was just like, I'm not going to rely on the city to do this,
Yeah, good luck
especially with
that.
all the,
Right.
the mugging and all that bullshit.
Exactly.
Like, I don't have the best confidence in the city.
For sure.
What's going on with you aside from this brutal heat wave?
Yeah. Somebody said we're going to put the pumpkin spice on the shelf for a little while.
Just a
bring
bit
summer
more.
back.
Yeah, a bit more.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's a heat wave of worse than anything that we've had so far this
All summer,
for some odd reason.
Yeah, it's great too because we're gonna be at the Granite State Comic Con next week, right? So I'm getting some of the shirts and stuff ready, and it is sweltering.
Yeah,
got my own little sweatshop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you seen anything?
I have.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, as you know, we're getting to that Halloween season.
Yeah.
So more and more horror movies are filtering out for, on demand.
Listen,
what have
you know how we
free.
feel about horror movies at Catalyst.
Right, exactly. So there was one that hasn't been on streaming for a very long time.
Oh man.
And it's a horror comedy.
I do go in for those.
And it was one of the earliest works of one Peter Jackson.
Oh my.
And so you know what I'm going to say here.
Yes, I do.
Michael J. Fox starring in The Frightners.
Oh, I love The Frightners.
I love The Frightners as well.
It's so good.
I saw somebody, I think it was on Google or something, post, hasn't been on streaming for a very long time, but it's, Peacock is going to be putting out The Frightners. So I'm like, oh, is it coming in October? Cool. I go on, I look, I'm like, no, it's on now.
Oh, that's rad. So you got to watch it?
Yeah.
The Frighteners is just... I have such an interesting relationship with that film because my parents wouldn't let me rent it in the video store because of the cover.
Sure.
They had like the skull on the front.
Yeah.
Not realizing it was a horror comedy, right? Like, it's not really scary. It's it has elements, but end of the day, it's a horror comedy.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing it on TV on Sci-Fi, and I was like, this is fucking fantastic, right? And then I found out it was fucking Peter Jackson, and I was like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Right. And it's one of those things where, again, if you know who Michael J. Fox is and you've seen his movies, it's not like the majority of his movies, although he's done more of these type of movies. They're just not as well known as obviously Back to the Future or Teen Wolf or things like that.
Frighteners is definitely one of those kind of offbeat, obscure type of films, I think.
Yeah.
It's got Gary Busey's kid in it.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah. Dee Wallace.
Yeah, Dee Wallace is in it. Yeah, there's who's the love interest? It's somebody.
Yeah, I can't remember her.
You have what's his face, the army guy.
You have you have R. Lee Ermey. You have John Austin.
Yeah, I mean just a ton of people.
Yeah,
right.
And it's such a good movie that a lot of people don't
You know what it
know.
is? It's like it's kind of like like Ghostbusters for adults in a way. Is kind of, I guess, the best way to phrase it.
And the thing is, the comedy isn't like over the top, goofy.
There are still some scary moments.
Right. But the thing is, it's got a story to it. And what I like about it is it's got like multiple plot lines going that all converge at the end.
That's a 90s movie.
Yeah.
Like that screams that's top tier 90s filmmaking.
Right. Absolutely it is. But, for anybody listening, if you have not ever seen The Frightners, please go out of your way and watch it. It is just a delight of a movie.
Yeah, good watch.
Yeah.
Good watch on you. It's crazy to me that a lot of the younger generation doesn't know Michael J. Because obviously he has Parkinson's disease, and he kind of dipped out much younger than we had hope, because he shakes.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think most people know Back to the Future, and obviously would know him from that, or at least know the character of which you're speaking.
He's also the basis for Futurama.
Yeah.
Philip Fry is basically Michael J. Fox.
Right. It's one of these movies that, if you are a fan of horror, not slasher,
I'll say something controversial.
Yeah.
I think Frighteners, for me, would be a much more palatable yearly watch than like a Hocus Pocus for Halloween.
I absolutely agree.
I know a lot of people love to do like Hocus Pocus every year.
Mm-hmm.
I think Frighteners is a far better film.
I totally agree.
And it's got that kind of spooky, trick-or-treaty kind of vibe to it, right?
It does. It's
a Halloween movie.
Yeah, it's a good, again, depending on age, I guess, family, teens, I would imagine, or preteens. I wouldn't go too young, because there is some scary elements to it. But this is a good movie that you can sit and watch and just enjoy what it is. It's not made to be, really over the top one way or the other. It's just a good, enjoyable, satisfying movie.
Yeah, good on you. I'm gonna see if I can pull that up.
Absolutely,
I do love me some Frightners.
What about you? What'd you catch?
So I watched The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. Oh, maybe I'm not.
No, you are. You are. So it's an hour and 50 minutes, I would say. Okay, and the cinematography is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like they nail the look, the feel of the ship.
Nice.
The effects are fantastic.
Nice.
Practical effects mainly.
Exactly.
The only thing I didn't like was the ending.
Okay.
And because the whole movie felt like this sort of, I've called it Alien.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's you're stuck on a ship.
Right.
There's a creature.
Mm-hmm.
The ending felt like a superhero film.
Oh, okay.
Like just, the way that they kind of wrapped it all up. It almost felt like the last 5 minutes tonally was a different movie. Now, that being said, getting there, it was very enjoyable.
Nice.
I liked the way that they did Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
What surprised me about the film is you care about the characters.
Sure, that's
like
good.
It's very human.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the whole crux of it. I thought it was just going to be your typical slasher kind of fodder, where you don't care about the people that are getting eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case.
Nice.
Yeah. So highly recommend.
Nice.
I know
good. I want to
it's
catch
getting
that
weird
one.
reviews. Like half of the people really love it, half of the people think it's garbage. I don't think calling it garbage is fair at all.
Yeah.
Because I would say the writing is relatively solid, but the cinematography, even just the lighting in certain situations, like the ship is gorgeous.
It's just one of those ones where I don't, the people that call it garbage, I don't know what they were expecting it to be. You know what I mean? Like, this is just a chapter or a small segment of the novel.
Right. It's one of those, very niche type of films.
Right.
Because you're not getting the grandiose Dracula novel in it.
Right.
You know, you're getting
you're just getting that piece of the novel.
Right.
And that was all it was intended to be.
And so, you know, as someone that loves film, I'm like, yeah, this works for me.
Good.
Because it, you know, that checks off a box. I love to dive into a chapter and turn it in, you know, give me every detail, turn it into a film for me.
Yeah.
That to me is like a low budget masterpiece.
Right. Well, that's one, you know, because again, it's one of the things of Dracula that really was never expounded upon. Yes, we've seen it in the Dracula movies.
It's never been a big deal.
Right. It's just a quick, 5-second thing that they mention. Hey, the ship comes into port, but none of the crew is there anymore. Right.
But when
that's all they really touch upon.
You know, when you start to dissect it, right? It's the 1800s. There's no electricity. There's nowhere to go.
Right.
You know, it truly is.
Yeah.
You're
you're on the ocean. Miles and miles of just water. There is absolutely nowhere for you to go.
There are just such shots. There's a shot of him like silhouetted against the fog and everything. And they're terrifying. And every time you catch the glimpse, right, they do this thing where in some instances he almost looks pathetic, but then he'll animalistically kind of lash out.
Yeah.
Another critique before we move on.
Okay.
I thought they almost made him too animalistic.
Sure.
Yeah,
well, I think that, again, without having seen it, I would imagine the thought here is this isn't Dracula, the charming,
No,
count.
he's trying to stay alive.
Right. This is just the beast. And all he's doing is feeding from getting from place A to place B. So he's not trying to, convince them of anything, befriend them. He's not trying to win them over in any capacity. He's just there to kill and eat.
Do you know what it's totally different film, right? But I'm a huge proponent for The Northman.
Yes.
I thought it was a fantastic movie that tanked.
Right.
I feel the same way about this. It's a great movie that tanked.
Yeah. I think sometimes when you have it so specialized that you're not appealing to a broader audience, but the audience that you do appeal to really love it.
And I think we've discussed this in length with like Disney and everything. I think movies with a smaller budget like this, it's okay to do that.
Right.
It's okay to flex that creative muscle because you're not going to lose $1 billion, $300 billion or something.
But you have to. This is the whole thing. If you want to take chances, you've got to keep the budget low to make it less risk.
Right.
And the hope is that this is one of those ones where it's going to have a second life to it when it comes on demand. And
I hope so, because it's
DVD and stuff
really,
like that.
It is really good.
Yeah, I am definitely looking forward to seeing it.
But yeah, no, I wanted to talk about that with you because I know we were excited about it, and I got the screener,
sure.
and
Nice.
I had to.
Right.
I got one more quick.
Okay.
This was another fantastic one.
Oh.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Another one I've wanted to watch and haven't gotten around to it yet.
If you had said to me that Nick Cage was going to be one of my favorite actors later in my life, I would have said you're a fucking liar.
Right.
I'm all in on Nick Cage.
Yeah.
I am all in on him. It was such a good... I laughed out loud more than once.
Nice.
Pedro Pascal was fantastic in it.
Good.
Nick Cage blew the roof off. Like, it is so funny. It's so good. It's got so much heart.
Yeah.
And then
nice.
Renfield was great too.
Yeah.
He's killing it right now.
He is. And I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. I think
everybody just thinks like, oh, Nick Cage does all these shitty like B movies, and it's like, yeah, but like he's having a renaissance.
Yeah, and I think people think he's a little bit out there.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
There.
And they don't take him serious as an actor anymore.
Yeah.
And so he gets kind of disregarded in that sense, but yet the movies he's putting out are really, really solid.
Mandy's great. Like I can rattle him off.
Right,
Pig.
exactly.
Like he's got some like top tier films.
Right.
But Unbearable Weight if you can find that on streaming, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's on there.
You gotta watch it.
I gotta catch
it's
it.
so good.
Yeah,
it's
nice.
so good.
Okay, I'm gonna make that on the watch list.
Put that one on there.
For sure.
All right, let's move on from movies. What else you got for me today?
So, I want to talk about comics real quick.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel came out with a new #1, like the 5th time this comic
it's
has
an
been
easy
rebooted.
way for them to kind of rebrand and do another #1 or whatever.
So,
because it was selling like shit, right?
yeah, it always sells like shit, except like when it first originally came out.
Yeah, the
it
first
sold
run was
a little
okay.
bit, and then it died. And they've tried numerous times.
She's a tricky character,
right? So, Iman Vellani, the actress who plays Miss Marvel, co-wrote this series.
What the fuck does that mean?
The girl who's
No, I understand.
playing Miss Marvel is co-writing the comic.
What the fuck does that? What?
She's helping.
Like just because just so the character is more like her. Is that why she's doing it?
Of course it is.
Okay.
So
yeah, because I'm like she doesn't know how to write fucking comics.
So here's the thing, right? Real quick to summarize, she died. She got brought back to life by the X-Men who have the power to do that because she has a dormant X gene.
Oh my!
She's half. So she was always an Inhuman, but now she's half an X-Man as well.
Because you can't use Inhuman in the MCU because of its poison.
Right. So they're obviously they made her a mutant in the MCU, so they're doing the same in the comic, but they're only doing it half. Still keeping some of the Inhuman in her as well. The comic sucks. It as all Miss Marvel comics do. It's boring. The writing is just absolute cringe.
Yeah.
And it's tanking, as you would expect it. But here's the thing, right?
Well, who is it for?
It's for nobody, because there are no fans of Miss Marvel. But and to that I want to say this. Iman Vellani, the girl who plays Miss Marvel in the MCU, seems like she cares about the comic book industry. She's actually a fan, right?
Yeah,
and she has a passion.
Kind of come across.
But here's the problem: she's too young to have any knowledge of anything.
Yep.
So she's got a passion without knowledge, without history. So she really doesn't provide anything to the industry because of that.
I mean, it's such an it's such an established industry. There's so much lore to these characters that the only way you can be an effective partner is if you sit down and you start to digest it all and you understand, all right, what are the top 5 arcs that I need to know that would mold this character,
right?
And that goes for any character,
right.
Like Batman, you have the long Halloween's very important, It's just things like that.
Right.
Like you have to at least at a bare minimum do that kind of work.
Yeah.
I think she's into the scene.
Sure.
She just hasn't. She's young too, though.
Exactly. And that's my point. But the other thing too is, right, she's had the Miss Marvel show on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
She's got the comic out now, and the Marvel movie is going to be coming out in November. She's experienced what we've all experienced. There is no love for this character.
Nope.
It was the worst ever Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
It's a comic that's bombing, and it's going to be a movie that probably ends up losing a lot of money. So she's going to come to the realization real quick that she unfortunately is playing a character that has no life to it in the fandom. And if you are actually interested in the fandom, you have to come to realize that this character has no fandom to it, and you're going to be stuck playing it.
I think what'll be interesting is because she's young, if she truly is into this, she'll find a way to make it work.
Sure.
She won't get angry like Brie Larson did, because Brie Larson's not into the fandom.
Right.
And she's just mad that people don't fall in line.
Right.
Now, if she's into the fandom, even though people don't like Miss Marvel per se, you take it on the chin and you stick around.
Right. But I guess what I'm thinking here is, as a child, even younger, this being her favorite character, is it only because she saw herself in this character?
Yeah, of course.
Right? So that being said, because that's what the young generation typically do, is they have to see themselves in the character, not the other way around,
right?
We all do.
I was gonna say I read something recently that said like a lot of the, it goes one of two ways. Either when you read a comic or whatever, either you are like the omnipotent presence that is like watching, or you are the character.
Right.
Now, I go much more omnipotent presence. Like I'm fucking off to the side watching it all kind of happen.
Right.
But a lot of people like really put themselves in the role, which I can't understand. I have too much self-hate to, be able to do that.
Right. So, the thing is, right, she saw herself in this character,
Sure.
grew up loving it,
Yep.
now is this character in the MCU, and now in the pages of Marvel Comics as well. But you're going to quickly realize that you don't have a fan base, you'll never have a fan base, and it's not reflective on you. You had no chance of success because they've tried too many times and failed. There's no real success to the character. So my hope is...
Well, right. You can't fix something that was broken to begin with.
Right, exactly. So my hope is, though, that if she truly is a fan, as she claims she is, and she truly loves being a part of the lifestyle, that maybe you think about branching off into another character at some point if you want to keep doing superhero or comic book related. Maybe you have to, maybe, yes, this was your dream, but maybe the dream was just that, right? Maybe that it's not as good. Like, yes, you're living out that dream by playing the character and getting to be
and,
her.
Do the best you can. But
right,
get
do the best you
get
can.
a little seasoning on you.
Yeah.
Learn about some of the other characters. And if you really want to be part of that comic book fandom, stick around. You got dealt kind of a shitty hand on it.
And it's just, like I said, it's there's nothing you can do. Like I honestly do believe she cares.
She could be the most charming, well-liked person in the role, and it still wouldn't work.
Right, exactly. So, like I said, I don't think that she's got the chops to be a comic book writer, at least from what we're seeing.
Yeah.
But I'll give her kudos for the fact that, she actually cares deeper than the surface level care that most of these actors have for these characters.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that shows through with some of them,
Yeah.
I think Helmsworth cares.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because
if he was just collecting the check, we'd be getting another fucking Thor after that nightmare.
Right. I think that Robert Downey Jr. cared while he was doing it, but I don't think he cared to continue doing it forever. He was easily able to walk away.
If he truly cared, we'd still be having Iron Man running around.
Exactly.
So before we move off of Marvel, so Agatha, they changed the name again.
Right,
This
third
is the
time.
third name change, and it got pushed to 2024.
Yeah,
something
the fall
or other.
of 2024.
Sure. I don't think it's coming out.
Well,
Who wants it?
yeah, well, that's the whole thing. But what's funnier though is that Ironheart got pushed indefinitely.
No,
with
Ironheart's not coming out.
But Ironheart's done.
Yeah, that's going to be a Batgirl thing.
Yeah, so that's the difference. Like Agatha isn't even started.
They probably watched like the first episode and they were like, "What the fuck have you done?"
Right, and I think that some of the powers that be are starting to look at this, and I'm like,
now,
what are you
that
doing?
being said, like the girl they got to play Ironheart in Wakanda Forever was fine,
Sure,
for who the character is, but the character sucks.
Right, and that's the whole point. Is you're releasing. No one's asking for an Agatha Harkness. Like, it was fine to have her be a part of WandaVision.
That was the hubris of Feige and Marvel, was that because Endgame was so successful, they thought that every single they're like, oh,
yeah, we can do anybody.
Right. People just want comic book characters. Right. And it's like, as someone that actually likes some of the obscure shit, I'm going like, you guys are betting on the wrong horses with this one.
And they're going to be in a lot of trouble with trying to get some of these series because, you know, their series are not doing well. And
no, Agatha, I mean, what was it? Coven of Chaos before?
Yeah.
And now it's like Night.
It's the Darkhold Diaries now.
The Darkhold Diaries.
The thing is that besides Daredevil, and I don't even know, depending on what you do with Daredevil, because if he's anything like She-Hulk, then forget it. But the series that you've already put out are better than the ones that are coming, and those all failed.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen to ones that people care even less about?
If it was up to me, if they said, you know what, this guy's been bitching, let's make him do it. Mm-hmm. I think you release one-offs like Werewolf by Night. If you can do stuff like that, just have like a couple here and there. Mm-hmm. Even What If wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Like fun little sort of like, you know, obscure kind of titles and stuff. You can pad out eventually your Marvel lineup without having all of this, you know, She-Hulk, WandaVision, and you know, WandaVision gets a kind of a pass just because of how offbeat it was for me.
But see, She-Hulk should have been great.
It could have been.
Because that character is one that has a big fan base.
Yeah, but that story wasn't about She-Hulk.
No. But
that
I'm
was
saying
about just message.
But I'm saying that character should have had a gigantic series because the fan base was there for it.
Yeah,
and then when you gave us what you gave us, you absolutely destroyed, you know, not only that show, but, you know, subsequent shows since then. But but you had the ability to make a really good show because you had a fan base for the character that would have supported it had you given us an actual She-Hulk show.
Well, I think what's kind of interesting right now is we're starting to see a shift and this is for the first time ever, where obviously The Witcher's, if it gets another season, I'd be surprised. Mm-hmm. But they just came out with that live action version of One Piece.
Right.
It's great.
I have yet to see it, but I mean, I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Because the art style follows the anime, the story follows the anime. It's so true to the source.
Yeah.
There's so much heart to it. Mm-hmm. The Last of Us killed on HBO because it's true to the source.
Yep.
And there's heart to it.
Right. Exactly. And that's what people keep on telling these studios. You have to be true to the source material, and you have to have a story that is going to be depth and care about the fan base.
But even something like Mario, which didn't really have a story.
Sure, it doesn't.
But it had heart to it.
Right.
So it's like all of these other...
But it had heart, and it cared about the fan base that loves the
like
Mario
all of these,
product.
You know, like She-Hulk has no heart to it.
No, zero heart to it.
If you look at it, there's no heart to She-Hulk. There's no heart to Willow.
No.
But that's what I'm saying.
There's no heart to Secret Invasion. That was so devoid of heart.
Right, but you can get away with a mediocre film or show if there's heart to it.
Right.
And there's not. You have shitty writing, you have a shitty show with shitty VFX and no heart.
Right.
It is the most corporatized version of anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then oh, by the way, we're going to insult the fans at every step of the way if you say anything differently than what we want you to say.
So what that's done for me, right, is that any of the people that have got on the speaker and blamed the fans, so the showrunner of She-Hulk, the showrunner of Witcher, if their name pops up on something they're attached to, I am out already.
Right.
No more benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fine. You've ruined properties that I love, and you insulted me on top of it. So I'm good with you.
Yeah, no more support for you.
No, not even a chance.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree with that sentiment.
And that's kind of a hard sort of standpoint, because say what you want about Kathleen Kennedy, even though she's butchered things, she's not coming out and going like, well, it's fans,
right? Yeah. Now there are others below her that are doing
Sure,
that, but it's not.
She's
her.
not doing that.
No.
You know what I mean? So like, again, I enjoyed Indiana Jones. I'll give her I'll watch it. I'll give you a chance.
Sure.
But I won't with a lot of these other showrunners.
No.
And
Exactly.
what else you got for me?
So you had mentioned in the last podcast about Bethesda.
Yeah, Starfield came out on Wednesday.
Right.
So I started diving into that a little bit.
So a big controversy blew up online, as most probably know by now, about pronouns as part of the character creation for the game.
What's the problem?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I'm trying to figure out why this set off a certain sect of the internet that was problematic. Like
who? What? It was like Nerdrotic, Heels, Babyface, those kind of guys.
The big YouTubers who cover the same stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Right. And they're losing their mind over it. And I hear what they're saying and the why of why they're saying it, but I don't follow the reasoning still. Like, if you're just creating a character and you're picking, I want my character to be black, or I want my character to be white, or I want it to be female, or I want it to be male, and you create, what the pronoun is, so you address that character, and then that's it. You created your character, and you go on and you play the game. And that's where the pronoun part of it ends.
See, now here's what I think is interesting about it all. Because when I created my character and I saw that, I was like, yep. And that was it. It did not even register with me because I was like, okay, cool. Well, I was like, oh, that's a nice little, feature for immersiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, good on them. Because I knew that it wasn't about, there wasn't going to be a section about like pronouns. It was just when people refer to you, what do you want them to refer you as?
Mm-hmm.
As pronouns, what they should be.
Right.
Instead of blowing it out of the proportion and making it a bigger deal than it is.
Yeah.
Getting mad at a character creator because it has pronouns is fucking ridiculous.
Well, I just don't, I don't understand, like, again, it's
but this is where I split with those guys because, like, sometimes they'll say shit that I agree with.
Yeah, a lot of times they do.
But then they take it too far.
Right.
And it's like
a lot of times they do that, too.
The shit with the like him Heels, I know Heels was, like, one of the biggest.
Yeah, he lost his mind.
Like, to get upset about pronouns at a character creation screen is insane.
Right, and that's
like,
the thing.
You're wrong, bro.
Right, it's not modern day ideology being thrown in your face so you can't escape to a place that you don't have to look at the real world for a couple hours while you're playing. It's like, it's a one and done thing.
Yeah, but like Dr. Disrespect did it too. And like, it's so crazy to me that it's like, look, if it bothers you, just pick he, him.
Right.
Or she, her.
Well,
you don't have to pick they, them.
Right. I mean, again, it's not like you are getting only to pick pronouns that don't, are something that you don't register with. The ones for you are there as well, but why shouldn't they be there for everybody? And again, not crazy ones, not things that are,
See, but here's the thing.
I'm a houseplant.
So like, here's the thing. Even if they were crazy ones, like Caesar and all that, I'm not saying they're crazy, but even if they were more obscure ones, like Caesar or whatever, I'm fine with it as long as the only reason it's there is so that the dialogue changes in the game.
Sure.
And that's it. Like, you just, you pick your pronoun at the beginning, and there's never a mention of it again. Except, the dialogue would change based on your pronoun. I don't care. You want to be a houseplant? Be a houseplant. I guess. I don't care because I agree that people should be allowed to be called whatever they want. I just don't want to hear the message over and over and over again.
Right. And
so it's like, I'm on board with you guys.
And I thought that was, and when I first tuned in, I thought that was, what we were talking about. I thought we were going to have, I went to play this game and it's the message. It's just the message. I can't get away from the message. I wanted to play this new game. I wanted to escape that. And here it is once again, front and center. I can't get away from it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I understand that. Like,
Right.
I wouldn't want that either. And then as you watch it and you find out what it really is, I'm like, what? What? Just in the creation part of it, and then it's only mentioned if dialogue suggests that you need to mention that.
Yeah,
like,
I thought that was such a bullshit reaction.
yeah, I thought that was crazy. Like that is an overreaction like I've never seen before.
But here's the thing: is that if he's reacting to that, that to me is bigotry. Like that to me is like, oh, you have a problem,
right?
Right? It's not like I have a problem with the message being hammered into the ground and taking over story. But I don't have a problem with pronouns.
Right, but here's the thing. If it was only he, him, and she, her, would that have been a problem?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I don't know that it's the pronouns, it's the specific pronouns that I believe are the problem, and therefore that would be bigotry.
Right. I don't know. I mean, it just, to me, I can understand where a lot of times where they're coming from, where they want, again, like us, they want the story,
right? And you know, sometimes you want a little bit of controversy to get people to tune in. I get that part of it too.
I mean, like this is just bullshit.
Yeah, I think that was
should
bullshit.
be ashamed of that whole.
I think so too. I think that was an egregious overreaction to something that's pretty simplistic.
Yeah, and I know we're not overly critical of those guys, but I want people to know, that listen. I want them to know that, like, we try to take a very centrist view on topics.
Yeah. I mean, we like those guys. Don't get us wrong. We're fans because we're doing the same thing and we care about the same things. But sometimes you can't just say because, we do the same things that we're all of hive mind.
Right. And I think the other thing with those guys is, for me, I like them until they go overboard.
Right, and as do I. I feel
and they
the
go
exact
overboard.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong.
I like them. I like them to a point, and when they cross a line, I'm not going to be on board with them
because it stops making sense.
Right, and I think that you've crossed the line into things that are a little bit.
This is the most egregious I've ever seen it, though.
Absolutely,
and he deserves all the flame he's getting for it.
Absolutely.
All right. You got anything else for today?
I do.
Oh my. Wow,
so,
you've been on today.
Yeah, so Ahsoka has dropped 4 episodes already.
Yeah, all right. I haven't caught it yet.
Ahsoka's awful.
Yeah,
it's awful.
I've heard it's pretty poor.
So you know how sometimes
I heard Ray Stevens is really good in it.
Yeah, him aside. But you know how sometimes you have an artist, like, example, Daniel Warren Johnson.
Yeah.
Fantastic artist. Fantastic writer.
Yeah.
He can do both.
Yeah.
Eric Larson, fantastic artist, can't write for shit.
Very true.
Savage Dragon is not a good story.
Right.
Dave Filoni is an artist.
Yeah.
He has no ability to write.
No, he can't. That's why he never made it, up the ranks.
Right. So Dave Filoni can make it look really pretty.
Yeah.
He can have great battle scenes.
Yep.
The dialogue is awful.
Yeah, it's very juvenile.
Very juvenile, very cringe.
Yeah.
There's times where they're staring at each other for 3 minutes, it seems, saying nothing but staring. 2 women just staring at each other. What he did, though, as well, is, and so here's before I say this, I've lost the faith that Dave Filoni is a savior of Star Wars. I think Dave Filoni is a one-trick pony that got lucky. And now he has, like Kevin Feige, had a vision. That vision was like The Mandalorian, season 1.
It could be that he's just like he can work well in structure.
Sure,
because I think the Clone Wars is really good.
Yeah, but again, that was Lucas, though.
Right, but I mean, like, he had the skeleton and the structure.
Yeah.
And then he can fill it out a bit.
But I think if you had somebody like Lucas to answer to, he could be okay.
Right,
but I think
he
now he can't be on his own.
Right, and Ahsoka's showing this.
Right, exactly. He's now made it where everybody can use the Force if you just try.
Oh, my.
Like, you've devalued the Force. No one's special anymore. Anybody can use it.
Well, I mean, like, they always talked about how you could, like, slightly tap into it.
Sure.
You know, but, like,
Maybe.
based on your midichlorian count, you would have more access to it.
But you still have to be... There's still a special group. Some people just can't. Now everybody can.
Like to the degree of, like, a Luke?
Yeah, so now Sabine is a Jedi. Basically now just a Jedi because she tapped into the Force, and now she can take a lightsaber shot to the gut and be fine the next day. She can fight she can fight the Siths and the Inquisitors with lightsabers like she's been doing it, trained by Yoda himself.
See, but like the whole thing with having different characters was you had Jedis that, you know, played a certain role, and bounty hunters and Mandos that played a certain role, and like now everyone's just a Jedi.
Yeah, but you know, and the really weird thing is, both Rosario Dawson and Amelia Clarke, when Amelia was in Secret Invasion and now Rosario here, they forgot that their face actually moves. Like, they have one expression now in the entirety of the series.
Well, I know Emily Clark had a stroke.
Yeah, but
I know
more. But she was more animated in the.
But Rosario, maybe it's just the prosthetics. Maybe she's just not used to wearing prosthetics.
I don't know, but I mean,
how is she as Ahsoka?
Terrible.
She's not
Awful.
Ahsoka?
No, she's not.
That's a bummer.
She's not.
Like, she was fine in that clip on in Mando.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't
what about
find
Thrawn?
her.
Is he good?
He hasn't. Shown
they
up
haven't
yet.
popped up. Okay.
But at the end of episode 4, right?
Yeah.
So she's fighting. So Ray Stevens, and her are fighting. She's on a cliff. They're on a cliff, I should say.
Yeah, pretty typical Star Wars
She
stuff.
falls off.
As you do.
Right. She wakes up and she's in the world between worlds,
Oh,
which
wow.
is where Ezra Bridger was, where he brought Thrawn so he can. That was his sacrifice, so that Thrawn wouldn't,
Yeah.
take over the, rise of the Empire again and come back into power. So she wakes up in the world between worlds, and she wakes up. She has a voice, looks behind her, Anakin.
Really?
Christian Hayden himself.
Wow. How was that? Good?
Just like Luke at the end of season 2 of...
Yeah, it hits that hard.
But the problem is, I thought you didn't care about these characters anymore, Kathleen Kennedy. I thought Rey was and Finn. Why do we keep going to the well with the George Lucas characters to pop your ratings? Why is every series about George Lucas's characters? I thought they all sucked. I thought you were better than George Lucas. I thought you guys were going to undo everything he did. But every time your show sucks and you need something to prop it up, here's one of George Lucas's characters coming to save the day.
Yeah, it's almost like she knows what will work. Like, she knows what would work.
Of course. And so doesn't Filoni. And Filoni knows. No one gives a shit about the prequel series.
Filoni's not going to be able to stick up to... No, people care about the prequels.
No. The sequel series.
Sequel series.
The prequels they care.
Yeah.
Everybody now cares about because the sequels made them like friggin' cinema gold.
Yeah, but I mean, the prequels were never really that bad.
No, I don't think so. But people did. But people have changed their minds since. I thought they were good.
So they had an interaction, though.
Well, not really, right?
Yeah, because it was world between
because the next show is the actual.
Oh, they were just looking at each other.
Right.
Okay.
But she turns around,
Yeah.
and there he is.
Oh.
Revenge of the Sith.
Gear and everything. Oh.
And the show ends with the Vader theme.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh.
So.
Chills.
Right. Chills for a show that has absolutely sucked up until the last minute of episode 4. And now episode 5 is going to have him in it, so I'm sure that episode is going to be good, and then you're going to have 3 more episodes of absolute shit.
Well,
I mean, you are going to get Thrawn
right.
and Ezra Bridger,
but
we don't know if they're going to be good or not.
But it could be the turning point,
it
right?
It could be. But the first 3.5 of shows of this series
I'm
have
not
been
into
garbage.
Sabine taking, what has killed Qui-Gon Jinn, arguably one of the greatest Jedi Masters of all time,
Killed Solo.
and being fine.
Yeah. I mean, yes, Han Solo fell off the bridge, but he was killed.
Yeah, but Qui-Gon
with the
didn't.
lightsaber. Right. Qui-Gon got killed.
Right, he took it in the
because of
same
lightsaber.
spot.
Same exact spot. But yet, her and Reva have both taken the same shot, and they just walked it off.
Nah, I don't know about all that.
So, again, I'm less and less of a fan of Filoni every single time he puts something out, but he's smart enough to know how to get the fandom at least interested to come back on board. They're still not coming back because, the ratings came out for the first couple episodes, right? And it's the lowest rated. It's on pace with Andor, 1.2 million over the first 6 days. No one's watching it. No one cares. But then Disney comes out and they're touting it, saying 14 million views. And everybody was like, well, where'd you get the data? From us. Like, well, you never given data before. What's your metric? Where did it come from? From us.
Right.
Well, can we see where you came up with that? Because Samba TV, who, has metrics, and we know what those metrics are. They're based almost identical to the Nielsen, and they were not 100% trusted source, but a reliable source. They're saying 1.2 million over 6 days. So how is that comparable? Show me your data. Yeah, it's from us. So it's like...
Yeah, but that's like what Amazon was doing with Rings of Power,
right, exactly.
where they would count a watch if you watch the fucking trailer, and they would put the trailer when you logged in.
So it's like, yes, the series is not doing well. It's failing miserably.
Yeah, that's too bad.
But you got me. You got me with that. Yeah. You got me.
That's because, anytime Ahsoka and Anakin are going to interact, it's going to hit you in the gut.
Right. And it's one of those things. But, when you see him and he's there as Anakin, and then you get the Vader theme, it's like...
You can tell Hayden Christensen loves that role.
He does. He does. And, he got, I think, a lot of unnecessary hate. And now people love him again in that role. Like, all of a sudden, people have made a complete 180 on him. And not everybody's going to love the performances from the prequels.
No, he's got his moments where he's a bit flat. But I would say overall, he nailed the character.
Right. But the thing is, he's synonymous with the character now. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. He is as iconic as the helmet.
Right. Exactly. And so, it's just one of those things where when I saw Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, it didn't hit. Like, it didn't hit me. Like, yes, it's the live-action version.
Yeah.
But, it's okay. But that hits. Like,
when
you saw Anakin, that hit. Just like when we saw Luke at the end of Mando Season 2. That hit. When you saw Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One.
Oh man, that gave me chills.
But you know what I mean? Like every one of these projects are being propped up by an iconic character.
Yeah, it's really funny because if you look at the overarching kind of series that have come out of this, there's like every series has 3 or 4 great scenes. Even Obi-Wan had that scene where Vader ripped the ship down. Like there are awesome scenes.
Yeah,
but they're all very weak.
Yeah. And I will say the other one of the big things that's plaguing this show is if you didn't watch Rebels,
you have no idea
what's going on.
Well, I'm gonna wait. And see how the bottom half of the series goes before I make my decision on whether I'm gonna watch it. I think with that, let's put this one to bed. Jim, as always.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on, telling me how they're ruining Star Wars.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
What's going on, man?
Getting ready for Granite State Comic-Con.
Next week.
Friday
to Sunday, yeah.
Yep, making sure we got our stuff ready so that we can have some nice items for everybody to come and purchase.
Yeah, you got to buy them.
Right.
All right, guys, so that's episode 70 of The Corner. CatalystCrafting.com is the main website. Catalyst Creations NH is the Etsy store. Almost done with the coasters, the Mortal Kombat coasters. Shout out to Dynasty for following us on Twitter. That's awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Kenny Baum also followed us, so appreciate that, man. But what do you guys think? Have you seen the Frightners or the Last Voyage of the Demeter? Do you think I'm off on liking it as much as I did? Do you have an unbearable weight of massive talent? What are your thoughts on Miss Marvel? Is she gonna fizzle out like she did in the comic books, or is something gonna happen where they're able to turn this around? Were you upset by the pronouns at Starfield? And have you watched Ahsoka? Do you think it's headed in the right direction? Let us know in the comments. All right, crew. Catch you on the next one.